Out Louders, Mia Friedman and I were the only two people who were not in Madison Square Garden on Saturday night. Friday night, perhaps.
It's true.
It's true. We are going to be talking about all of it today. The guest who was there, most pointedly who wasn't there, what she wore, as much as we know. Because at the time that we are recording this, official pictures haven't dropped. And you can bet your bottom dollar that if they do drop in the next 24 hours, we'll be back in this studio talking about it. But at the time we're recording this, no official shots. And Mia's going to get into why she thinks there's a time delay on that. But did you think we weren't going to get together today for the biggest debrief? How are you feeling, Mia?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I came into this big game feeling a little ambivalent. Mm-hmm. I just am not a wedding person. I don't care about weddings.
It's true.
And I found the whole thing a little just a little uninteresting. Like, I don't mean to sound, like a purist, but I prefer the music to the noise, and there's been a lot of noise lately. However, I got swept up in it all, and I just am so happy for her and him that they got to do it the way that they wanted to do it. I understand why they did it that way, and it went off without a hitch.
So I have many questions, because for anyone who's listening to this who isn't aware of mine and Mia's Taylor Swift positions, Mia is a long time Swiftie?
Yes. I'm Swiftie adjacent.
Yes, she's Swiftie adjacent, but you know a lot.
Yeah.
And you consume a lot.
I know a lot of law.
Yes, you know a lot of law. I like Taylor fine, but I'm not that bothered. And also I'm famously a wedding skeptic. So
correct.
But I think if you want all the facts on this, of course, there's an episode of The Quickie this morning. But what seems to be, they have pulled off something extraordinary in this wedding festivities, because it seemed to be incredibly public and incredibly private at the same time.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. So tell me about that. When we first heard that the wedding was going to be at Madison Square Garden, and it was over 2 nights, at first everyone said, no, that's ridiculous and tacky and over the top and soulless and da-da-da-da-da. But they have done something extraordinary. Tell me how they've pulled this off.
Yeah. To start earlier, I think they were already married, because a lot of people were like, it's so tacky, 1,000 people, why wouldn't you do something small? And Taylor laid the breadcrumbs for this on a Graham Norton interview about a year ago. She told us what this wedding was going to be, and she said it's going to be huge because I don't want to do that thing that every couple has to do if they're organising a wedding, which is to make decisions about people, how important they are, whether they get on the list or not. Mm-hmm. And she said, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to assess my relationship with people. And you can only imagine the big lives that they had. I had no time for the people who were like, why didn't they just do 200 people? Like, we can't imagine their lives, Taylor and Travis. They've both been famous for decades and they're both at the top of their game. So there are a lot of people that you have to invite to your wedding that you might not know that well, or that are political because it's family or cousins or, people you've worked with or friends from a long time ago. So times that by 10 and that's them. So apparently they got married on one of her properties in Tennessee about 2 weeks ago. So the ceremony was done.
Except they did have a ceremony, which by all accounts, 100%. The vows were 20 minutes long each. That is what I heard.
So I've got a theory about that too. I think vows are the new speeches. I've noticed vows are getting longer, and they're not just the sort of the formal stuff. They're when the couple really tell their story and speak to each other in a way that they used to do in speeches.
To that guest list, right? So you've made the point of why so big. But I think everybody was surprised by some of the names.
Randos, it seemed.
Because you were saying, we've all got that auntie we've got to invite. We've all got that workmate who would be upset. But I didn't have on my bingo card
Hugh Grant.
J-Lo.
Well, why not? And that's just the ones we saw.
Sandler. And Brad Pitt.
Okay, there are some that are still mysteries, right? So what I was enjoying on the weekend was doing the 6 degrees of separation and going, okay, Hugh Grant, he was on the Graham Norton show with her. He was then in her VIP area of one of the concerts. He did a tweet. His daughters love her. So there's that. Adam Sandler, Travis was in his movie, and daughters are Swifties. So remember that there are a lot of celebrities with daughters who have reached out and established connections with Taylor through Hollywood to get tickets, to get access for their daughters. But then there's people like, who were some of the weird ones? Jamie Oliver?
Yes. Well, look, there are a lot of weird ones. Glennon Doyle and Abby Wambach.
That's not weird at all. So I was a bit puzzled at first, and then I realised Abby Wambach and Travis. So remember, there's the sport connection.
Yeah. Obviously, we know that she has a very tight crew. She has Selena Gomez. She has the Haim sisters.
Yes.
She has Gigi Hadid. She has some of those people. Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. Although business powerhouses, I mean.
It felt like every famous person. It felt like the Oscars.
Yeah.
The only people missing were the Kardashians.
I liked that. That was very deliberate because of their connections to her, the worst thing that ever happened to her being her cancellation, and to Kanye.
It's interesting because what this guest list was so enormous and so star-studded that what is going to be the story and is the story is who wasn't there, right?
Well, I can think of one person.
The very famous one that everybody's pointing out, obviously, is Blake Lively.
Yeah.
And she was photographed in upstate New York with Ryan Reynolds. And I have to say that I felt heartbroken about that because they're not just friends. Taylor is godmother to Blake Lively's kids.
She's written songs.
And if you have Adam Sandler and you have Hugh Grant and you have some radio DJ who interviewed you once, because there were also journos there. There were the hosts of Good Morning America. It's not like, if you don't get invited to someone's wedding and they go, but I had to keep it small.
Yeah.
But if you are the godmother to somebody's children and you do not invite them, it feels, tell the people like me who don't know the law why that split is clearly so irreversible that she couldn't even get a free plate at the wedding.
So with the whole Justin Baldoni, it ends with us drama and lawsuits. Texts became visible as part of the discovery process that happens in lawsuits, where texts between Taylor and Blake came out, and things that Blake said about Taylor, like she is my Khaleesi and all of those things. And it was incredibly embarrassing to Taylor.
Who is obsessed with privacy.
Who is obsessed with privacy. You get one chance with Taylor, by all accounts. You breach that inner circle, because you can imagine how hard it is for her to trust people. And the inner circle was breached. And I think it then became, I think at some point it may be repaired. I mean, you just have to look at the fact that Karlie Kloss was there, which I thought was really interesting.
So again, tell the non-Swifties why is that interesting?
It was a big day for the gay laws. So there is a whole group of obsessive Swifties who believe that Taylor Swift is secretly gay and that she and Karlie Kloss were in a relationship for a long time and that they are sort of still secretly together. And they look for breadcrumbs and forensic evidence of this. But there's clearly they were best friends, very, very close friends, in the same way that she kind of is with Gigi now. She was part of her squad back in the 1989 era. And they did clearly have a very big falling out. Nobody knows why. Taylor has only said that she really resents the fact that there's all this speculation. She doesn't like it. And she's never talked about it. But here's how I think that repair happened. Karlie bought a ticket to the Eras tour, and that was reported. She was up in the bleachers at the Eras tour just as a punter. Now, Karlie Kloss is married.
Sweet.
Yeah, is married to the brother of Jared Kushner, who is married to Ivanka Trump.
Yeah,
so there's all of that. And so she doesn't need... She's in the bleachers, literally, she's in the bleachers. And I think that was an absolute olive branch on behalf of Karlie. And I think that it showed, hey, I still care about you. I still, I love your music. I want to see you. And I think probably Taylor reached out after that and rapprochements were made. And so Karlie comes to the wedding, which is the absolute stamp of you're back in the tent.
You're back in the circle, but Blake is not.
No. And I think maybe Blake will be one day, but Blake fucked Taylor over. She did what Taylor will never forgive, which is using her name and embarrassing her.
Yeah, this is so interesting. So speaking of the big girl squad, everybody knows that about Taylor Swift. She's got big posse of tight friends, but she chose not to have bridesmaids.
I thought that was genius.
Yes, tell me why.
Chose not to have wedding parties. I think a couple of reasons, I think. She chose her brother and so did he. So first of all, you can only imagine the politics of any wedding, but the politics of their wedding, and overlay that the media and all the drama, plus the extra scrutiny and pressure and potential leakage that could come from having all of those people and their publicists and their managers and all of the, and their hair and makeup artists. And so it would have been that much harder to keep it under wraps. I also think that there's often those stories, if you're like one of the bridesmaids, it then, for Taylor particularly, it becomes a narrative so that when everyone then watches those friendships and if things aren't quite, it becomes a narrative.
A bit like the godmother thing. A bit like the thing, one of the reasons why we can all point to that Blake story. And I mean, it makes me very sad from an old friend perspective, but it's like your godmother to her kids is the same as like you were her bridesmaid.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of people who could say that they're not close anymore to the godmothers of their children or the godparent or their own godparents. Friendships change. So I thought that was all interesting. I think the big winner is Tree Payne. Yes. Taylor's publicist, because she locked that shit down. What are we now? 2 days, 3 days out, nothing substantial has leaked.
Well, all right, let's talk about that because as we said at the beginning, incredibly public in that we're shutting down a big part of a city. Yes, there are some people very unhappy about that. We're flashing up just married on the massive billboards outside Madison Square Garden. Clearly, we could see everyone who was coming. We could see them going. They've started to share pictures of their outfits, all those things. And yet no substantial leaks. How do you do that with 1,000 people, including journos, at your wedding?
When people received their invitations, they also got NDAs, and all the invitations and NDAs were watermarked, so that with names. So there was no financial penalty, obviously, for breaching an NDA. So it was the biggest trust exercise you can imagine. In addition to that, everybody that worked on the wedding, you can only imagine, from the caterers
there would have been hundreds and hundreds.
They built a castle hole. They built like what we're starting to hear about the ceremony and the reception itself and the rehearsal dinner the night before. Even just the service providers, thousands of people who worked through the night, many of them. Everyone had to give up their phones on the way in. Tiny bit of grainy footage leaked to the Daily Mail. But other than that, the only leak was the guy who runs AMC Theatres, who was a business associate, one of those ones, who, she did released the Eras Tour concert movie through them. And he did this very kind of gushy LinkedIn post, which he also shared on X, with a lot of details about how the decor was and the vows and within a very short amount of time, not only was it taken down, but all his accounts were deleted. I just would have loved to listen to that phone conversation.
Are we allowed to speculate on some bits of that leaked? Are you going to let me do that, right? It did not look like Madison Square Garden, he said. I love also, he said, tonight, a new era in that romantic story commenced. He spent a long time writing this thing that was up for 30 seconds. It did not look like Madison Square Garden. Immediately upon entry, everything, floors, walls, ceilings were draped in peach and white. Large blown up pictures of Taylor and Travis at every age, year by year, from what, I'm sorry, can you hear a little eye roll in my voice?
I knew you'd cringe at that. The thing is that Taylor has never said she's cool.
I know, it's true.
She's always told us who she is, which is a basic bitch. She's the most basic of basic bride, and that's no shade. She's just got the same fantasy every bride has, and all these people wanting her to be more chic and more cool and like that's just not her.
No, I get it. So you're saying this is truly authentic. A small portion of Madison Square Garden was cordoned off, devoid of any notion that a basketball or hockey game ever shared that space. Somehow, magically, someone created an outdoor garden at a lush countryside retreat. Wow. Everything draped off, this time in green and white. So it seems like there were different areas inside the arena.
Yeah. What Taylor knows how to do is world build. And what you said was so perfect about the public and the private. And that's why as soon as I heard about Madison Square Garden, I thought, yes, because you can seal it from the outside world. You really can.
It's a bubble. They say there were around 1,000 attendees, but surprising, it all felt intimate and small.
Oh, I've heard other reports saying it felt crowded.
I know, me too. And I didn't like that. I thought, if I'm going to Taylor Swift's wedding and then I'm waiting for my drinks, I'm not happy. But listen to me. me.
Maybe that's why Tom
dear.
Brady left early.
After some relaxing and mellow romantic songs played to settle the house, he's got the details.
Yeah.
A few violins and cellos ushered in the wedding party. Travis in a white tux and a jaw-dropping Taylor in a stunning white wedding dress with a long veiled train. Now tell us what we know about the dress.
Christian Dior. So she stayed out of the, all the cool kids are fighting over like Chanel and Matthew Blasey and all of that kind of stuff. She stayed away from that and went with Dior. Jonathan Anderson, who is the designer there, he designed both her. Travis was in a white
tux, it says, yep.
I don't know. I have no idea what her dress is like, but it will be released. My prediction is people are saying, oh, has she, did Vogue get the dress? She doesn't need anyone. It's going to come out. There'll be a collab post between her and Travis. You were right. I said it would. The image would come out while the wedding was still happening.
I was like, why would you
avoid
not make
leaks?
People wait?
But you were right. You said make people wait. And also, I don't think it's make people wait. It's more just when she's ready, like on her timeline. This whole thing has been on her timeline.
This takes me back to the days when I used to work at OK Magazine and we used to do big celebrity weddings, right? And obviously nothing on this scale, but I remember at the time Kyle Sanderland's wedding was an example, right? You are umbrellas over the bridal dress. Yeah. You are everything. And then you had to wait until your print release so true. And so we used to design those spreads and we'd decide how many pages to give the wedding. So we'd be like 20, that's a lot, 15. Imagine if this was those days and it was hello. I found myself like longing for that. I want to pore over a 20-page
that's true.
spread of this. I want to see the details of all the stuff. So I reckon that the modern version of that is make them wait so that you can curate the perfect
carousel.
Or
photo
video.
dump. Yeah. Well, that's another thing. So a lot of very big wigs from Disney, including Bob Iger, who runs Disney, were there, and the AMC guy. There are rumours, although I don't know, that this is going to be released on Disney.
Oh, no.
Perhaps
do you think?
A version of it on Disney through Disney Plus and maybe also in theatres. But I think that what we'll see first is a collab post like the engagement photo.
Like the engagement.
It'll drop the same way. And I think that she wants to find the iconic image that will be like the image of Carolyn Bessette Kennedy and JFK Jr. She won't try to recreate that image or anything, but you know how like that is the most iconic, one of the most iconic wedding images in history, and she will look for her version of that.
Yeah. It's like the royal weddings. It's like Catherine and Will's coming out of the church. It's like Harry and Meg's under the flower arch. There's like a shot that defines
There is a shot, and I think that she might even drop that just on its own. Let that run, because it will everywhere, imprint into the culture, and then do more content. Because, I mean, firstly, she's a creator. Secondly, she enjoys this shit. Like every bride wants people to see.
And how long do every ordinary bride spin out their wedding pictures for months?
Because you know why? There's a lot, and I get impatient with that too, but there's so much creativity that goes into planning a wedding and a dress and everything. And it's like, I want to show my work. I want to show this thing that I've made. And I want to talk about money first. Because
one thing about the party quickly, this will lead into money. Then at the party, this is still the AMC guy. An even larger stage set of a secret garden that was just exquisite with a 5-story tall lit trees, superb food and drink, an A-list audience to fate the young couple, and music, blah, 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 blah.
Including Sir Paul McCartney.
Yes, singing, apparently, I Want to Hold Your Hand.
And he's not sung that in 60 years publicly because of John Lennon.
Mate, I would have chosen a different one, but that's okay. Now I understand why. So all of this speaks to the cost. However, they were very clever about this, I think. Tell me what you think about the cost. So clever.
How much do you reckon the wedding itself cost, including the rehearsal dinner the night before for 100 people, which again, they had these pockets of intimacy. So yes, they had the big bang-up party that was like the spectacle. And I don't even think partners were invited to that. So that seemed to be just 100 close people. The other thing at the main wedding, Lena Dunham gave the speech.
I know.
Adam Sandler was the officiant, which I thought was very funny. But Lena Dunham gave the speech, and one of the things she apparently said was that American
Yeah,
She
it's
said
straight
American.
men.
Yeah, she said American football is like straight men cosplaying gay porn.
I know.
The NFL players didn't like that apparently, but Taylor reportedly thought it was genius, and there was much laughter.
I love that. If she was one of your best friends, why wouldn't you get her to do the speech? It's like why I would get you to do my speech when I get married, Mia. But because you're very good at that shit. You're very good at that shit. But the point is, this would have cost.
Yeah. What do you
back to
reckon?
the cost, because I was looking at the cabinets being carried in and out that had the TT embossment on it. There's a coat of arms involved. There's da-da-da.
There were prizes, like giveaways.
I want to imagine, like, do you think 50 million?
Yeah.
I think an enormous amount. And
I think 50.
Also think about the cost of the security, of closing down the city. They obviously did all that through official channels, not the whole city, but the area around the city. That isn't cheap. You've got a whole, there's an enormous cost involved.
I heard some, when people were grumbling about, how come they get to close the city? Apparently that's a really common thing in New York. Like if you're doing an ad for Coca-Cola or Nike, you can close. You can get parts of New York City closed. What they did that I thought was genius, and they dropped this exactly when all the wedding was happening, was a $26 million donation to various charities in and around New York, from animal shelters to homeless shelters to pediatric cancer hospitals. Along with all the footage of the arrivals and the breathless coverage, and there wasn't much. Like the media didn't have much to work with over the weekend itself, but there were lots of grateful messages from all of these charities.
Yes, including from Dolly Parton. She got $2 million for her incredible charity, which gets books to disadvantaged kids. And so she was like, I love you guys. It pours out all this goodwill.
I also think maybe this
right?
is why there might be a streaming, because, Taylor is nothing if not a brilliant businesswoman. And, that could all be paid for.
I don't want that to be a streaming, Mia. I think it's a step too far.
I wouldn't hate it.
So here's the thing, and maybe this isn't the day to talk about this, but one of the reasons why I'm fascinated by this, culturally, is Taylor Swift has spent nearly 20 years, in fact, singing about love and marriage and fairy tales.
Yeah.
We know that she has been in love before. We know she has had her heart broken. We know she has been in long-term relationships. We know she's been through all this stuff. There is something audacious to me about cementing that this is forever, the fairy tale, all that stuff. When, she's felt that way about Joe Alwyn 6 years ago.
But maybe he didn't feel that way about her.
I know. And so I get it. I'm very happy for the love of it.
Yeah.
But it's also a very bold... If this does, have you seen the tweet going around? I mean, not tweet, sorry, the video going around on social from some cynical creator who says, I just realized she got married a day before July 4 so she can call the inevitable divorce album Independence Day. And I have to tell you, I take my fucking hat off to the cynical fucking billionaire that she is. Now, that obviously is a very cynical take, and I'm sure that isn't true. But do you get where I'm going with, there's also something very bold about saying this love story is everything.
Isn't every wedding an exercise in incredible optimism and hope?
It is.
Otherwise, no one would have a wedding, which is maybe why you haven't.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
But I think that she's always believed in true love. She's always been really romantic, and I think Travis has too. And I think even if it doesn't last, that doesn't mean that it was the wrong thing to do or that it wasn't real now. And I found myself just being really happy for her in a really simple way. I think she pulled it off.
She did pull it off. Obviously, what did happen after that, so as you say, we haven't seen any imagery. We've talked about what we think is going to happen there. But the guests all did start to post 24 hours after. And they all posted their outfits and little "We love you, Travis and Taylor."
Yeah.
And it basically sounds like a kick-ass party.
Well, it's also a flex now to be able to say that you were there.
Yes.
And if it's almost as you said, if you weren't there, it's a little bit awkward. And then this is just the people we know about that list, everyone from Steven Spielberg to everybody really. But then there's people who, because you could get in and out without being seen. So, of course, Beyonce and Jay-Z would have been there. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Wow.
Like, and what I loved about this.
They got married in New York and we never have seen a picture.
Yeah.
Beyonce dropped a little bit of the footage of that once in a video, but I was thinking about that on the way in, that we've never seen what Beyonce wore to her wedding.
Do you know what I love about this is that Taylor got a lot of shit for the public nature of the squad, the girl squad, around the 1989 tour time. And they were all tall, skinny, beautiful models, whatever. And some were cynical and saying she was just trying to, you know, rehabilitate her reputation as a girl's girl after all the man stuff and the breakups. But we don't know, like, real celebrities have lives that we don't know about, and friendships and relationships that we don't know about. And her romantic relationships have been very public, but her friendships haven't necessarily been. So I just really liked that, going, oh, wow, how interesting that one of them is friends with Jamie Oliver and maybe Alison Roman, the chef. And I was starting to imagine she's getting into sourdough and Alison Roman.
So
I mean,
true.
imagine, because everybody, when the Eras tour was on, every celebrity in the world posted pretty much that they were there. That then gave her license to reach out to anyone and just go, hey, can you help me with my sourdough starter?
I know. Mia, I love your happy love is love take on this.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you need to say about this glorious wedding?
No, it's just made me really happy. I just think there is so little good news. And of course, people will be trying to find their hot takes and their, you know, snark. But I just think it's just nice. I just liked it. It was simple pleasure.
Nice. I have to say, like, there's a little bit of me that's like, when Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez shut down Venice for their wedding, I did plenty of eye rolling.
Yeah, that's true. Why do you think this feels really different?
Well, it does feel different in one way, but then there's another little bit of me that's like, they could have disappeared. They could have done it in any other way. It's obviously not what they wanted, and I'm not to say that they clearly wanted exactly the opposite of that.
Well, I think they got all of it. I think they got the really small one. I think they got the medium one, and I think they got the big one.
There is something, though. There is a bit of arrogance in, like, I'm making the commuters, I'm disrupting trains for my big day. There is some arrogance in that. Like, you know what I mean? You have to say.
Do you not think that happened for the Eras tour?
Yeah, but then everyone gets to come to that. See, that's why it's interesting about what she'll choose to do with release, because if you're going to make this such a big deal in so many ways, the Swifties, who are possibly the most passionate fan base in the world, they deserve an inside seat in a way, don't they?
Yeah, well, they've bought into the lore and the mythology, and they've been with her all this time. So that's why I think she's going to give them something, but it will be on her terms. I don't think let's see what happens. I bloody hope so, because she's an artistic genius and I want to see what she's done.
I also I'm dying to hear your opinions on the fringe and the lipstick when it happens. Mia Friedman, thank you for coming on this amazing emergency episode of Out Loud.
I love you.
But enjoy basking in all the weddingness. I'm sure we'll be talking about it more.
I'm off to refresh my feed.
Yes. Out Louders, hello, and welcome to Mamamia Out Loud. It's what women are actually talking about on Monday, the 6th of July. I'm Holly Wainwright.
I'm Amelia Lester.
And I'm Vernem.
Yes, it's the Monday after Taylor Swift's wedding. Did you two notice? In case you missed it?
I heard something was on, but I was busy. I played pickleball actually in the weekend, so I didn't. Yeah, sorry.
That was probably one of the events at one of the stations inside Madison Square Garden.
I should have been one of the
You're
entertainers.
assuming I wasn't there, Holly, which is hurtful.
That's true, because our Amelia is mysterious.
I know people in New York.
You do.
Wow.
You do. I mean, you look fresh, but then, first class will do that to you. But anyway, on today's show, what's made our agenda? Amelia.
Look, Albo's in trouble for his answer to a variant on the old shag, marry, kill game. And I'm wondering if it's just time to retire that game once and for all.
And I'm asking if 18 is too young to carry a nation's hopes on your shoulders. Yes, we're talking a little bit about the Socceroos, but actually it's broader than that. It's like, when are you properly a grown-up?
Plus, there are a new pair of glasses that are going viral at the moment for all the wrong reasons.
But first, Em.
After months of back and forth, which for some people like myself felt like years.
It did, because we've been covering it a lot on our Scurrilous Gossip episodes.
A bit too much, some would say.
The Scurrilous Gossip episodes we do for subscribers on Tuesdays have been very Harry heavy lately.
Yeah, very Harry heavy, especially his movements around the world. It is official though. He will be landing in the UK tomorrow. However, it has been reported that this is going to be a bit of a Eat, Pray, Love episode for him because he's going alone. He's going solo. Megan and the 2 kids will not be joining him.
Which is a backflip because last week he released a statement from his camp saying that they were going to be there.
And then he's not going, and that statement came out after it was confirmed that they will not be getting police security. Are we done with the story now, do we think?
Are you joking? It hasn't even started. There's a little loophole in what they've said. So they've said that Meghan and the children will not be travelling to London.
Ooh.
But some people think that means that other parts of the trip, they may still be included. Like we talked on this show, didn't we, Amelia, about how they're going to Althorpe?
Yes, Diana's residence.
They're going to take the children maybe to see Princess Diana's grave. That's still on the table. But basically, this has been a big schmoz between the fact that Harry had said it was going to be the family's first visit back to the UK in 4 years, the first time that King Charles, while being king, got to meet his grandchildren again, and there was going to be this big reunion, and now it seems that definitely not.
Okay, but here's what I don't get, Holly, and I need you to explain it to me. They were never guaranteed security. He said he couldn't take the family to the UK unless they were granted state security. They were never guaranteed state security. And in fact, the decision not to give them state security was, I think, 10 days ago now. So why did he then say, I'm bringing them, and then only to backflip again?
Well, it's interesting because a lot of this is obviously coming out of leaks from Harry's camp. And there was some mutterings at the end of last week that the threat level had been escalated, that there had maybe been some kind of credible threat against about Harry and the family in London. And so it seems
they're not well liked there, are they?
Well, look, it depends who you listen to. There are a lot of the media hate Harry and Meghan for well-documented reasons, partly because they keep suing them. That's part of it. But they are often saying, oh, they're making up all this stuff, like why can't they just carry on like normal people? But Harry's position has always been, well, I'm not a normal person. I have a very high threat level. So other people say, well, why don't you pay for it yourself? And anyway, this argument has been going on forever. And it seems that you're right, Amelia, of course, that he was never guaranteed security. In fact, there has been no change to that agreement. But I think that he had hoped that with King Charles's olive branch.
Right, that he would intervene maybe. I'm obsessed with one detail about the security. Apparently, one particular sticking point is, how Charles has offered them Buckingham Palace, has been reported to stay at, which seems nice.
That's the famous one.
That's the famous one. But apparently there's an issue about how to get in and out of the palace if you don't have state security, which conjured up to me the image of can you just get in an Uber from Heathrow and be like Buckingham Palace? And then the Uber drives up to the gates and you're like, no, it's cool, I'm Haz. What happens?
Yeah. Would he have to go up to the gate?
And talk to the guard on the front and be like, remember me? And they'd be like, no. And he'd be like, I'm royal, but are you? There's a lot of debate about that. Anyway, I just have to drop one more royal thing. Did you all catch Prince William on Travis Kelce's podcast, New Heights?
Oh, obsessed.
I didn't. I didn't catch him there.
It was really interesting because obviously Travis Kelce has a podcast called New Heights. He has it with his brother. I only ever listen to it when really, really famous people are on it, but it's basically a sports show.
Yeah. So when they talk about sport, you're not into it?
Well, I'm quite into this one because they were talking about the World Cup football.
But they've also had a lot of now it's become a really big deal podcast. Brad Pitt's been on it. A lot of non-sports people have been on it too. It's
competing with the other, the celebrities are up there just
it's competing with my other podcast, Spill.
Exactly, it really is. So Prince William was on there in the context of him being president of the FA, which is the British Football Association, and how tight he is with football. And it was a very interesting interview because Prince William says nothing.
Oh, does he?
He's as is trained to do.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce makes lots of lovely overtures to him because they met at the Eras tour.
But they've also met apparently just a few weeks ago. William and Kate met with Travis and Taylor when Travis and Taylor were in London. And I thought that was very telling because what it means is Taylor and Travis have picked Wills and Kate over Harry and Meghan.
It's true. And Harry and Meghan were not at the wedding of the century on the weekend, and I'm sure Meghan would have loved that.
Sure.
Anyway, Prince William's on there. I thought it was very interesting because this is a podcast hosted by two brothers, two very tight brothers.
Right.
And William, and I mean, so there must have been so many no-go areas because obviously Harry's name
Both
wasn't
in the
mentioned.
same line of business,
Exactly.
too.
And then Travis makes quite a lot of comments about meeting William and the kids at the Eras tour and how lovely it was to meet Princess Charlotte. And William just has that perfect, super famous person way of like appearing warm and lovely but saying not one thing.
Right.
Just kind of like, yeah, it was great. You know?
Didn't you say that the only fan photo Taylor posted for the whole Eras tour was of Prince William?
Yeah, it was of Prince William with Trav, and I think her caption was like, "Hello there, mate." And like she had so many like famous celebrities attend the Eras tour in the VIP tent, and he was the only photo she posted.
So she's picked her side.
Yeah, but she's always been friends with him. Like there was that time where they did karaoke together when they were younger. She's always been a William girl.
Oh, I think maybe once upon a time she thought that might have been her love story ending. But the only thing is, as you say, they've definitely picked a side. At the end of the podcast, Travis is like, "We love you guys. We love the royal family." It was like very pro-royal.
Oh, wow.
Anthony Albanese is the latest man to get in trouble for playing the game of Kiss, Marry, Kill, or at least a variation of it. Let's watch the moment during his appearance on the podcast Bush Deep. I did not know about this podcast until now. It is hosted by a comedian and actress named Nikki Osborne, who, if you imagine this, if you're listening, is kind of dressed up in a sort of like Steve Irwin-y cosplay, but sexy outfit, interviewing Albo at the lodge. And the concept is that they're drinking together.
Shag, marry, date. Kylie Minogue, Nicole Kidman, or Rhonda Birchmore.
I've just got married. I'm only 6 months in.
But if it goes tits up, let's just pretend
Oh, Kylie, clearly.
you'd marry Kylie and shag her and date her.
All of the above.
All right, it's a triple.
She's terrific.
All right, that's fair.
Okay, the Prime Minister has apologised unequivocally, that's his word, not mine, for his remarks after MP Zali Steggall and others suggested he should have just said, "Look, I'm not playing this game." They've said it's sexist, he should have refused to play. But it reminded me of another man who played this game and then it went viral, and that man is Travis Kelce. This weekend, this clip was everywhere. This is him in a 2016 interview with the TV station AfterBuzz.
It's called Kill, Marry, Kiss.
Okay,
so ready? Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, Katy Perry.
damn, that's messed up. I don't want to kill any of them.
Well, you know, it's just the game.
Ariana is kill.
Okay.
Unfortunately, love you, but you're gone.
Okay.
And then Taylor Swift would be the kiss. Yeah, Katy Perry would be the
He's
marry.
like, yeah.
Awkward.
Incorrect choosing there, Trav.
But what's striking to me in both these clips, and I'm sure it's evident to you too, is that both Albo and Kelce, who I think we can generally agree, whatever our politics or music preferences, are probably pretty good blokes. Both of them seem visibly and audibly uncomfortable with being asked to play this game. Which leads me to ask, Holly, is this game irredeemably sexist? Is it time to ban it?
I quite like it. I mean, I don't like it. I don't like it in its original version, like Kiss, Kill, Marry, or whatever we used to call it back in the day, or ruder words than that. Anyone being killed, clearly not. Don't like it.
Yeah.
But it is very revealing.
It is.
And I have heard, so Call Her Daddy likes to play this quite a bit, Alex Cooper. And they'll throw it to female celebrities too. Female celebrities play this game too. There's a classic one with the Ryans, the three Ryans, Quanton, Gosling, Reynolds. I mean, that's a good game. I would play that game. But I think the problem, what this tells us, particularly in Albo's case, is there is a very fine line of being, I'm a modern dude who understands that going on podcasts is a really important part of my communication strategy. My team keep telling me that's a good idea. But podcasts are very risky for politicians and for big name celebrities because they're often long form. So up until about 5 years ago, really, politicians, we generally see them in one of two contexts, either quick soundbite on a breakfast TV show or a proper in-depth interview on like a 7:30. So they're either being interrogated about politics or they're being asked to give quick, pithy opinions and soundbites about their policies. Hour-long rambling interviews, or maybe on a 60 Minutes where they've been granted access to their home and their family, but it's very edited,
Or
very
even
polished.
a kitchen cabinet.
Yes, which is great for the same reason, I think, actually, very revealing. Podcasts are very intimate. It's very, very hard to fake who you are on a podcast, particularly over time. And this, remember, was a big point of conversation around Kamala Harris, is that why didn't she do Rogan? Why didn't she do Call Her Daddy? Oh, she did Call Her Daddy. Why didn't she do some of those less friendly pods? And they're saying it's very hard to hold it for all that time.
But you just said in the previous segment that William did an exceptional job of behaving himself and sort of just talking within the lines on New Heights.
He did.
A long-form podcast. So it's possible.
Yes, although it was like 30 minutes max. But yes, it was possible, but very boring. Like there's a reason why the only bit of that interview that's going viral is the introduction that Jason Kelsey gave him, because there is nothing else that he said. And the problem is every podcaster wants the viral clip.
Yeah.
So Albo knows he's going on a comedy show. He knows probably he's going to be asked this.
Yeah. The podcast is called Bush Deep.
Exactly.
And Nick even says we ask all of our guests this. So the fact that he just went
what would
Kylie
it
all
end
three.
if he'd have said, because I agree, he should have said no. Zali Steggall's right about that. I don't think his answer was particularly offensive or wrong. He was trying to get out of there and just say like, Kylie, all the things. How do you think it would have gone down if he'd have just said, I absolutely refuse to answer that?
I think he could have literally just said, I respect all three and I wish them all the best. Like that's what I would expect from a prime minister. I think this is a game that can only be played by normies, and it can only be played by normies in relation to celebrities. So you could only do the Ryans of the world. We can't do people.
You can't have a celebrity playing it.
No, you can't have a celebrity playing it because they're too even. That's why when Travis played it the first time, when this interview first went viral, it was fine because he wasn't there yet. Now it's not fine. You
It's
can't
true.
play that game now.
At that time, he had no idea of what his life would be.
Exactly. Whereas like I once was asked in a truth or dare game with friends to do a shag, marry, kill with people in the room.
No.
You can't do that.
So when we were on tour last year and I did a Q&A with the hosts.
I'd forgotten about this.
I think we occasionally, so the idea was the audience would ask questions that I would put to you, the OG hosts of Out Loud. And occasionally I think we would get an audience question suggesting that we play this game. And I tried it a couple of times on you, but it did feel a bit gross.
Yeah.
It just felt a little bit like kind of old-fashioned or anachronistic to be making, even given that you were women and we were playing it heteronormatively, so we were discussing men, it still felt a little old-fashioned
Well, there's
to
no
me.
question that it's objectifying and all those things, but it is revealing. Kim Kardashian played it in 2019 and she was asked which she would, she was given Barack Obama, Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump.
That's just, see, this game is not actually a game if you're like putting like not people who are evenly matched together.
Do you want to know how she chose though? Because it's
Obviously, I
quite
want to know.
surprising.
Yeah, please.
She said she'd marry Barack Obama. That is
Okay.
not surprising.
No.
She said she would kiss Vladimir Putin
I would too.
and she would kill
I
Donald
would-
Trump.
I would absolutely
so you
kiss
think
Vladimir
she
Putin.
aced the test.
The only thing I'd worry about is if Vladimir Putin had laced his lips with some kind of poison, because that seems like the sort of thing he would do. But
These are the things you
I'm
have
not
to think
kissing
about.
Donald Trump. I'd much rather kiss Vladimir Putin. Are you kidding? Would you not?
See, I respect all three. And I wish them all the best.
What's interesting is
Nailed it.
Slate had this big funny debate on their site about the sort of nuances of this game, and they had two real like kind of sticking points that they could not agree on. One is whether the marriage in the game is celibate. Like, is the point that you're trying to decide who you want to be friends with? And the other one was whether once you kiss the person you select, you never see them again. Or could you just be in a casual kissing relationship forever?
Well, because the kiss has been. This is an issue with modifications of an original game.
Because kiss and shag are very different
It's
things.
true, and it has,
different
and I
things.
think the swapping the shag for kiss and all those things and getting rid of the kill, which obviously is a good thing, but like it's defanged the whole process,
Yeah,
right?
but I feel like keeping the kill in like makes us remember that it is a fun, silly game. And then if you try to make it serious,
interesting.
like with the Albo question, it was shag, marry, date.
Yeah.
And then Albo thought I was getting away. I don't have to kill anyone. But no, you're still shagging someone.
Yeah, interesting. She actually made it a little bit more fraught.
Yeah.
It's true. Back to my point about how it's hard to hide on a long form show. Albo or anyone in Albo's position should not get, you know how like reality TV contestants after 10 minutes they forget the cameras are on and they just start acting like idiots and their true selves come out.
That's also what I do on this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah.
That's what long form interviews are meant to do. Lull you into a place where we're just having a chat.
Yeah.
We're just having a chat. Now, any prime minister, I mean, should of course never be lulled into that.
Mm-hmm.
So he should have had, no question, he should have had an answer prepared for this. If his team knew this game was coming, and the answer should not have been Kylie also.
It's interesting that he even chose to go on this type of show, because just broadening it out to like what politicians do in the age of radical authenticity, that is the era of podcasts. This show is very ribald. Like the humor is quite coarse, as you detected from the title there, Em. They do drink as they discuss things, and there were not a lot of questions on negative gearing or capital gains tax changes. What do you think is the strategy, given that politicians do kind of get these offers now? Holly, do you think he kind of erred in even going on a podcast like this?
Yes, because the problem is once you're in that position, you have a lot to lose. Interestingly, in the last election cycle, both Anthony Albanese and Peter Dutton, who was the opposition candidate last election, I'm sure we've all forgotten that because everything's happened so quickly. We're like, Peter, who? What? Both came in and sat down with Kate Langbrook for a long-form no-filter interview. Now, the premise of No Filter is that they're not going to be grilled about capital gains tax. That's not what it's about. It's more of a conversation about your life and your influences and your, trying to get a little bit under the skin. And interestingly, everyone said that Dutton was more relaxed than Albo, and that Albo was a little more sort of wooden and pulled together in his conversation. And people were a bit surprised by that because Dutton in particular had a reputation at that time as being hard man. You might imagine that he wouldn't be that relaxed in a one-on-one interview like that. But the thing is Albo was the one who had everything to lose in that situation because he was defending his position. Yeah, right. Whereas Dutton was swinging for that position. This is the second time that Albo has tripped up recently in a long-form interview that's supposed to be kind of informal. Yeah. This one was obviously a quick-fire round, and then he was on stage at a conference in Victoria, and again, quick-fire round. He was asked one word to describe and then thrown various names. One of them was Grace Tame. The first word out of his mouth was difficult. It's like, And it was supposed to be a kind of throwaway lols. But once you're prime minister, there's nothing, you can't do throwaway and lols. Yep. And I think that it's very easily weaponized. It also is quite revealing. And I think that ideally, as much as all politicians are being given this message, and there's something very interesting playing out in Britain about this at the moment with the new prime ministerial candidate. Everyone says, he's so natural, he's such a guy, he knows how to talk to people, Andy Vernem. And it's like, sure, but once he's prime minister, all those rules change. And really, I don't know if there's much upside to being on there, being asked silly questions about who you're shagging or one word to describe this famous high-profile woman. Like, it feels like a trap.
So Mark Zuckerberg, Amelia, your bestie.
Yep, I know him.
Can I say intimately?
I don't think intimately.
Come on.
I can't
She was at college with him. For any out louders who are like suddenly going, what? Amelia and Zuck were at college at the same time. Yes. And he was launching
And we did
Facebook.
have an interaction when I was a student journalist where I asked to interview him. I'm just very excited for the forthcoming Social Network 2 movie where he is played by Jeremy Strong.
Yes. Jeremy Strong looks so good.
Do you think
I would shag, marry, date Jeremy Strong. He would be a lot of work, but I think he'd be worth it.
No. He's the guy from Succession, in case anyone's struggling to place him. Kendall.
Method actor. Yes, Kendall.
No. Anyway, I wonder if you'll be in it.
Oh, yes.
Plug your student journalist.
Oh, my God. Stay tuned.
Sorry, Em. I
Anyway,
derailed you.
sorry, this isn't about Amelia's love story with Jeremy Strong / Mark Zuckerberg. It is about Mark Zuckerberg's Meta glasses. If you think this is an old story, it kind of is, because he launched Meta glasses, which are glasses that you wear on your face like normal reading glasses, except they're smart glasses. So they have a little camera on the side so you can film and take photos with your glasses. There's little speakers.
Can I just say, let's file the smart glasses under the things that don't need to be smart. And also in that category is washing machines. I never asked for a smart washing machine and I never asked for smart glasses.
What about fridges? Some people are...
No, I don't want anything smart except me.
I don't need to be knocking on my fridge to see what's in there. I can just open the door. So these smart glasses have now kind of gone viral again because they've roped in one Kylie Jenner. So Kylie Jenner has launched her own design with Meta glasses. They do look really good, I have to say.
Do you like them?
I love them.
I think they've the first round of release of this, everyone went so daggy, but now they've got proper designers on board.
Yeah, they look very pretty.
The first ones were Ray-Bans and Oakleys, but these ones are stepped up fashion-wise.
Yeah, stepped up fashion-wise. They look very fancy minus the surveillance aspect of them. So Kylie partnered with them to promote her own line of the glasses. She also designed them herself. And with that came a huge, huge campaign. They did a relaunch of Meta glasses, and they also did an array of gifting to some top-tier influencers.
I heard that the Kylie glasses, I heard this because I kept reading about them. They have a single rhinestone on the lens to denote what it's like to get the paparazzi always taking photos of you.
Genius.
I need that.
What do the smart glasses do, Em?
So the smart glasses, thank you so much for asking. So what they do is they have a little camera on the side so you can take photos and videos of everyone without their consent, which is really nice because sometimes it's awkward to ask for consent. So you can do that.
But to be fair to Meta, they say that they have designed them so that people will know if you are taking a photo or a video, correct?
There's a red light. So apparently there's a light that goes on if you're filming, but apparently it's relatively easy to disable if you
Not so smart.
if your intentions are not pure. Most ordinary people probably wouldn't bother disabling that. But if you're specifically wearing the glasses to, I don't know, film Taylor Swift's wedding when you're invited, you can apparently quite easily disable the light.
You can also get, sometimes your glasses can become a screen. So if you're lost, you can get Google Maps up on your glasses.
Can you
follow the maps?
Can you put them on in a meeting, pretend you're paying attention, but really be watching the England game?
I hope so.
But then I think the only person who can get away with wearing sunglasses in a meeting is Anna Wintour.
That's fair. Fair point.
Well,
anyway, I digress.
Since these glasses have gone viral, a term has re-emerged. And this term first came about in 2014 when Google introduced Google Glass.
Google Glass.
And it's a term used to describe people who wear these smart glasses, and they're called glassholes.
Oh. I'm not surprised there was a big ding-dong in England because there's a sort of disgraced comedian. He used to be a very big deal in England called Michael Barrymore, and now he's he's huge on TikTok for doing really simple things with so he puts his glasses on, he goes into a shop and he films all his interactions with, say, the shop assistants, the checkout person, anyone who's, and puts them in sort of slightly comedic situations without their consent, uploads it to TikTok.
I bet they love that.
Millions of followers. Well, the shop workers union in Britain has, and actually in Australia too, are launching a sort of a claim to make them illegal. Well, not illegal, but to make them, what's the word? Well, basically banned from shops. That you can't wear them in shops, and various other smart wearable technologies too, because it's an invasion of privacy, all of those things. But which you could totally see why.
Yeah. It's also been reported that it's been used by immigration officers and agents to track people. So it has become a huge deal, especially in the US, of people pushing back at this. It's been so pushed back that there have been influencers who have been deleting their posts of them wearing the glasses.
And that's a big deal for an influencer.
It's a huge deal. Everyone's saying it's we have to do to the Meta glasses what we did for fur back in the day.
And make them that
uncool.
That's so interesting because you don't want to bully people, but at the same time, if you make something so daggy, so unimpressive that it shames you. Sometimes shame can be a useful tool because this is also used obviously by people doing those awful pickup videos on the internet, the manosphere guys going up to women wearing them.
Filming them without their consent.
I think what you're saying is it's going to come down to whether or not they're perceived as cool. And it's interesting that Mark Zuckerberg tried to preempt this. Remember that earlier this year he was seen, he went to the Met Gala, he was seen front row at the Prada show in Milan. He was trying to get ahead of this and say, I'm a fashion person and try and endear himself. Now he's not wearing it at the moment. People track the chain as an indication of where Mark Zuckerberg is at. And right now he's chainless.
Someone who wasn't at Taylor's wedding because he was on my TV was 18-year-old Lucas Herrington. Now, he is the youngest Socceroo to ever be in the team for a World Cup. And on Saturday morning, I don't know if you were watching it, it was an ungodly hour. The Socceroos were playing a knockout game against Egypt in Dallas. They got to extra time at 1-1 and they went to penalties. Yes, I am the sports correspondent now that both of Stephen's sisters have gone.
Is it hard for you to say soccer instead of football?
I don't like it, but I'll do it. I know my place. So it went to penalties. Everybody who knows anything about soccer/football, this was also a point of contention on the Travis Kelce podcast with Prince William. They kept saying soccer football to him and he kept saying, I don't think so.
Stop you right there.
We call it football. Anyway, penalties, as anyone who knows, are brutal. It's the best of 5, 1-on-1, you and the goalie, and nobody wants to do it. But World Cups are decided on them all the time because you play your 90 minutes, then you play another 20, and then if you haven't got a result, it's penalties. Top teams train obviously heavily on penalties. They'll agree who's going to take them beforehand. It's a very professional setup. It's not so much like the old days where people just sort of put their hands up. Anyway.
My turn.
Anyway, Australia, to be fair, did not start the penalties well. They swapped out their goalie when it was clear that was about to happen. And then Harry Sutar, who is known as Captain Courageous, missed the first one. Egypt scored theirs. And then our fourth taker was Lucas Herrington. He's from Queensland. He was playing in Brisbane. Now he plays in America and he's really good. But he got up and he missed and we were out. Immediately, people were mad. So Socceroos great Robbie Slater said, he wrote for Code Sports, the minute Lucas Herrington stepped up for the penalty kick, I felt angry. The whole country should be. This should never have been put at his feet. With Australia in a penalty shootout for World Cup survivors, surely someone in the Socceroos brain trust should have said, do we really want to hang this on an 18-year-old? I have seen, and then lots of people obviously came out and defending Lucas, and Slater wasn't criticising Lucas, he's criticising the team decision to do it. I also anecdotally saw a lot of women on the weekend, particularly mums with a bit of a protective vibe saying this was unreasonable. They should never have let him do that, particularly not so late in the penalty lineup, like maybe he could have taken the second one or something where it's not going to be your kick that sends you home. It's really unfair for a young man. But my vibe is this is what professional sport is. And if you're old enough to play on the team, aren't you old enough to take that pressure? But is 18 too young, Em?
I don't think 18 is too young. I feel like if you're good enough to be on that team, like you said, they would have had that decision made before they even started playing, before the World Cup even was on. And I feel so bad for Lucas. Yes, he probably has year 12 formal coming up. He's got other stresses going on. And I think he would have just felt so proud to represent his country. And to be fair, there have been a lot of commentators saying that they were really proud and it was a very brave and courageous thing for him to do.
Well, it was. It was a very brave and courageous thing for him to do. But the potential consequences are heavy.
The consequences are heavy, but at the end of the day, he was the best player to do that kick in that moment. And I think age is it's regardless of his age. He was just the best person to do it. And the conversation would be so different if he got that goal. We all would have been like, our 18-year-old superstar, look at him go. Young people can do anything.
Well, we actually know it would be different because earlier on in this World Cup, he became the youngest ever Australian to score in a World Cup when he scored against Paraguay, which was part of why Australia got to where it got to and advanced in the game. So you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
I know. Unfortunately, in football, everyone always wants it both ways, right? They're like, if you get on and you do great, it was like, that was a great decision. And if you don't, it was the end of the world. Now, I feel in a way we're getting better at not piling quite so much pressure and vitriol on players who mess these things up. Mess these things up is a terrible thing to say. Herrington messed nothing up, but who don't get their penalties. Back in 2020 in the Euros, England were playing in the final and it went to penalty shootout because of course it always does. And the 3 players whose penalties were either saved or they missed were all black players, black English players. And they suffered such relentless racist abuse as a result of their penalties not going in, that, you know, FIFA had to step in. The captain, Harry Kane, made the point to all the fans, we don't want you as fans. If you're going to behave like this, you can go somewhere else. And those young men had to have protection. There was all this drama around it. And it was I always just want to say to people, what do you think it's like to stand up there and look at the goalie? And they'll be like, I could score that. I could score that. It's like, I don't think you could, guys.
We couldn't.
I don't think you could.
I've also noticed that the fan culture towards men's sport is so different towards women's sport. It like this whole thing and all the people with all the opinion pieces about who should have done the kick, who should have been the goalie. It's like it comes from like a place of anger and disappointment. And I remember when the Matildas were playing and when we hosted the World Cup in Australia, when the Matildas got left out of the game.
There was a penalty shootout.
There was a penalty shootout, which
not for the
obviously
final, but for the semi. That was like back of the hiding behind the couch.
And we won that. But even when we, and I remember watching the game against England, I went with my family and it was so sad. But the amount of proudness we had towards those young women was just amazing, and I've never seen anything like it. And I don't get that same feeling with men's sport when their team gets kicked out.
Well, I want to say that I'm really proud of him. I mean, 18 is really young. And I read an interesting thing, which is that he was actually able to represent 4 countries in this cup: Australia, Finland, Germany, and Zimbabwe. And he has chosen to represent Australia because it's the country of his birth. And so we would never have even gotten to where we got to in this World Cup had he not kicked that goal against Paraguay.
That's so true.
Good on you.
I want to ask about 18-year-olds. Do you think, because you're an adult, he plays professional sport for a professional club in America, this sort of outpouring of almost maternal protection towards him, do you think that we don't think that 18 is old enough to be able to handle pressure?
Good question.
Nah, I think they can handle pressure. If we didn't have like the best people doing sport would be so boring. Currently in the F1 grid, the reigning champion
here we go.
right now, Kimi Antonelli, is scoring the most points out of everyone. And he is one of the youngest on the grid. He started when he was 17.
I think part of why we want to watch sport is because it's really high pressure. There are really high stakes. Look, when he kicked that goal against Paraguay, people were predicting that he was going to move from the American side to a Spanish side where he was going to get between $23 million and $30 million.
Whoa.
So look, I think he'll be fine. Professional sports is high pressure, but that's part of what the money's for, as John Draper would say.
It's true. And also there was a time in British football where nobody really wanted to play for England because they saw what happened if you stuffed up. Oh. If you've watched the Beckham documentary, you would all know there was a moment in the World Cup back in the 90s where David Beckham got sent off and allegedly lost us that World Cup. And there were effigies of him hanging outside pubs. He was berated and harassed for a full year. Every time he ran on a pitch, people were booing, people were throwing things. And so over the years, people were saying, well, I wouldn't want my kid to go into football. Or people were saying, I don't want to play at that level. It's too intense.
But the harassment is like crazy. Like you're just a bad person. Because how does us losing the World Cup affect you individually?
I often wonder though if sport can give you that excuse to be a bad person, you know, like to let that all hang out.
Well, we've got neither Stephen's sister here to be sports correspondents. So Holly's done an admirable job, but I also have a piece of sporting news to bring from the World Cup. So a Team USA player, his name is Folarin Balogun, he got a red card during the US team's game against Bosnia and Herzegovina, which is a game that the US went on to win. But Trump called FIFA 3 times over this red card. And FIFA caved, rescinded the red card, and now Balogun is free to play in Team USA's next game against Belgium this week.
Oh my gosh.
How do we
rigged.
call FIFA?
Rigged. Outrageous. I hope you've enjoyed the sports report, Mamamia Out Loud sports report. I promise we won't keep doing that. I just, I know you all wanted to send Herrington your love.
Yeah, we know you just want to check the score.
I totally do. Can we just wind up so I can check the England score, please?